adventure that starts with a Walt Disney World vacation, then sails to our private island in the Bahamas. So call now and discover uncharted magic.
Right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
Well, it promises to be a slow evening rush hour in some parts of the Northeast, with rain for some of you and snow falling in other areas. Hello, I'm Mike Bono, and welcome to this edition of Weather Center, sponsored by Walgreens.
And I'm Bob Stokes. Now, in California, you've seen snow today, a rare sight, because some of you haven't seen snow in your hometown since the 1970s, and it's really an interesting fact. And well, I'll let Mike tell you about it. He's got the West.
That's
but
right.
First, let's talk about the Northeast, because we're concerned about getting you home safely. And the good news is this is not a big snowstorm. This is a light snow, little to no accumulation in the Northeast, in New York, in Long Island, in Boston, Philadelphia. In fact, it's rainfall. But to catch you up, light snow coming down in Queens and Brooklyn, light snow coming down Islip, New York, Long Island, Nassau County, but little to no accumulation. But you've got to be careful later on tonight, especially because with temperatures falling below zero, we could see some bridges and overpasses slick up. This is the front that's going to bring in some colder air. And while I'm on this map, have you ever heard of Tonawanda Creek? Well, there is an ice jam on that creek in the western part of New York. It's causing some flooding. Flood warnings along that creek between Batavia, New York, that's in western New York, and the Niagara-Erie County line. So I want to get that information to you because that flood warning was issued not very long ago. Otherwise, you see the snow's coming down, the rain's offshore, and the snowflakes still flying around JFK, and Hartford, New Haven, a little bit of light snow, but basically it's rainfall as you head towards southern New Jersey and Philadelphia. But besides your normal precautions in precipitation, be it rain or light snow, no major pileups on the roadways, but still, the caveat always is in precipitation, be careful whether it's a little or a lot. And temperatures are above freezing along the coast. 38 in Boston, 36 in New York, but as you move inland, we do have some colder air coming in. The upper level low is pulling down some colder air, plus it's moving pretty fast. So in the inland areas, be careful where the snowflakes have been flying and where it's below freezing, like in Elmira and Burlington, Vermont. Now, as we look at the snowpack, well, it's beginning to melt, some of it well, it's already melted in some locales, so it's not going to be as cold, say in Vermont and other locales where the snow has been a little more thick lately. So with that melting, probably the lows aren't going to be as low as, say, what the forecasts were a day or two ago. But nonetheless, we could see another 1 to 3 inches of snow. The Catskill Mountains, probably a fair amount compared to surrounding environs and the Poconos. But high pressure in the western Great Lakes, we've seen a few spritzels of snow north and east of Detroit, but earlier it was when it was really coming down and really piled up. You were clearing snow from sidewalks and driveways this morning in the Detroit area. This is Madison Heights, a suburb north of downtown. Now, as much as 6 inches of snow fell on parts of the Motor City before it tapered off this morning. and we still have those flakes flying just a little bit. You see the cloud cover there, but in the southeast we're looking very pretty. Look at that, the sunshine coming through with high pressure in charge. This front will cool you down a little bit in Atlanta, but it's basically a dry front. 66 in Atlanta in January. You gotta love it. 69 in Birmingham, 74 in Jackson, and 69 in Tampa. So to sum it all up, looks good in the southeast. Not a major snowstorm in the northeast, but rain coming down in Philadelphia. Be careful. Light snow in the New York City area. But how about the Midwest, other parts of the Midwest, and the West? Mike has some interesting details about snow in the southern part of California. Mike?
Doesn't happen too often. The song goes, it never rains in Southern California. Well, it really never snows, except for today, when you had an all-time record snowfall in Bakersfield, California of 3 inches during the morning hours. Maybe not on the ground all at one time, but 3 inches of snow. Now, there's only been one other time in 1974 when you had 1.5 inches. One other time when you had measurable snow, 25 years ago. 2 traces of snow, one in 1990, meaning you couldn't measure it, in 1932. That's how unusual it is to snow around Bakersfield in California. Now, as you go up the hill toward the Tehachapi Mountains or the San Gabriels or even the high Mojave Desert, you had some snow in places. Sandburg, California was snowing hard for a while, as was Bishop, which is not too far from Fresno. And we're getting some snow still on the Southern California mountains. High pressure to the north gives you a beautiful day and creates some easterly winds, but it's the rotation around that low pressure system and that moisture coming off the Pacific teamed up with cold air aloft, which worked its way all the way down to the surface, Bakersfield only 300 feet above sea level, that brought that unusual snow to Southern California. As you can see on the picture, clouds, but not a lot of rain moving to the northwest, and not a whole lot of precipitation in the west today. This is the big story. Now, along with the rain that's still coming down pretty hard in Fresno, Bakersfield even had a little sleet mixed in the last hour. We're seeing a cold rain in Las Vegas, mountains getting snow nearby. The Colorado Basin, usually the hot spot in the nation in the summer, getting some chilly rains. Temperatures near 60, which is warm compared to the 30s you're still getting around Fresno and Bakersfield. Some showers around the LA Basin. Los Angeles County, not too much now, but Orange County, San Diego County, locally heavy rains impacting the coastline, and thunderstorms that may have even been rotating earlier on down around Santa Catalina Island, San Pedro Bay. Could have been a waterspout out there, but not an immediate threat of tornadoes now, just strong thunderstorms. But up the line a little bit, in the San Joaquin Valley, it was snowing in Visalia, California. Look at this. This has got to be a treat for these kids, which is a rarity there in the San Joaquin Valley. Snowing in big wet flakes at that. Looks like about 1 inch on the car tops. Building a snowman? That's incredible in the San Joaquin Valley of California today. It looks like a little bit more tonight, maybe in the valley, but these are mountain ranges from the Sierra down through the Tehachapis, San Gabriels, and even San Diego County, as you could get some snow in the mountains near Las Vegas and even outside Death Valley. Snow in Utah and Colorado, too. Watch out along Interstate 80 coming across the top, and then 15 in the high spots, even driving in some of the mountains around Las Vegas. But also the northwest. After getting just some rain around Quileute and the Straits of Juan de Fuca today, notice the snow moving into the mountains around Boise and the Columbia River, make that the Snake River. We're expecting a little bit more of that tonight. Temperatures struggling, though, with cloudy skies in Seattle and Portland to get up to 40, only 52 in Los Angeles, but 73 in Phoenix. Let's see what's going to happen tomorrow. Here's Bob.
All right, turning colder across the northeast, not drastically so, Mike, but we do have some colder air that will move in behind this front this evening. Still some snows along the Pennsylvania-New York border, but not a tremendous amount of it. The heaviest perhaps in the Catskills and the Poconos. New York City, very little accumulation, if any. So you still got to be careful over those bridges and overpasses, but this is not a big winter storm, and it'll be over with before probably, more than likely, midnight. Well before then, more than likely. But we still have the snows coming down in some areas of the southern part of California, the wet weather persisting. This will eventually move toward the northeast. Some wet weather poised to move into Seattle, which it does tomorrow morning. Be careful along I-5. Snows moving into the cowboy state of Wyoming as we head towards your morning. And there's a look at a pretty good drive to work in the northeast. Driving home, some freezing rain possible in the Cornhusker state of Nebraska.